Interviewer: what is the scope of testing for this software application? Candidate: the scope of testing for this software application would depend on the requirements and functionalities of the application. It may include functional testing, performance testing, security testing, usability testing, and compatibility testing. Interviewer: how would you prioritize the testing activities based on the scope of testing? Candidate: I would prioritize the testing activities based on the risks associated with the software. For example, if security is a critical requirement, I would prioritize security testing over other types of testing. Similarly, if performance is a critical requirement, I would prioritize performance testing over other types of testing. Interviewer: what are some of the risks associated with this software application that need to be considered when defining the scope of testing? Candidate: some of the risks associated with this software application may include security vulnerabilities, performance issues, compatibility issues with different operating systems and browser, and usability issues. Interviewer: what are some of the limitations that need to be considered when defining the scope of testing for this software application? Candidate: some of the limitations that need to be considered when defining the scope of testing for this software application may include time and budget constraints, resource limitations, and technical constraints. Interviewer: how would you ensure that the scope of testing is comprehensive enough to cover all the requirements and functionalities of the software application? Candidate: I would ensure that the scope of testing is comprehensive enough by reviewing the requirements and functionalities of the software application and mapping them to the different types of testing that need to be performed. I would also collaborate with other stakeholders such as developers, designers, and business analysts to ensure that all the requirements and functionalities are covered in the scope of testing. Interviewer: how would you measure the effectiveness of the scope of testing? Candidate: I would measure the effectiveness of the scope of testing by tracking the number and severity of defects found during testing, as well as the coverage of testing. I would also seek feedback from stakeholders such as end users, developers, and project managers to gauge their satisfaction with the quality of the software.